Okay, hello everyone. Thought I'd just make a quick YouTube video to show you the wiring setup in my new Colorbond garage. I was inspired to do this video by another YouTube user who's done a similar thing. Excuse me. He had a really great video showing his whole setup, and that kind of helped me to work out what I was going to do with my shed. So this is a 6x6 Rand-build shed, double garage sort of thing, as you can see. It's got these kind of trapezoid, I suppose, purlins running all along the wall. Window there. And so the first thing I decided to do was get these Pearlmate 3650 PowerPoint holders. These are an Australian product, and as you can sort of see there, they fit perfectly, like just mount in the purlins there, and have 25mm conduit entries on either end. Yeah, so it's just a neat little way to get the wiring in there, and then your electrician can just mount the new PowerPoint straight on there. Yeah, so those I think they came in a box of 6, and they were around maybe $80, something like that. I found them on eBay. So I mean, probably not the cheapest product for a PowerPoint holder, but as you can see, it does the job beautifully. It was super easy to mount, and the finished product looks pretty good. So coming back from there, I've just got 25mm conduit with half saddles probably every couple of feet, just to hold it all in place there. Just runs all the way along, and I've done the same thing really on both sides. Comes around the corner here, and more PowerPoints, similar thing, just using the entries there on the Pearlmates. This end of the shed is where the bench is going to be, so I've just put a couple of PowerPoints. Run it through here and over to the switchboard where everything ends. So what I've got here is a piece of, just a big piece of plywood. For me, this was a logical spot to put it because there was kind of a nothing space between the rear access door and this big pillar in the middle here. So yeah, I just cut that plywood to fit in there fairly neatly, and put a couple of hinges, and of course a latch to secure it. That is actually one of the requirements that the electrician told me about. The board, however you do it, has to be secured so that kids and whatever can't put their fingers behind there and potentially get electrocuted. So coming a bit closer on that, mine hasn't lined up super well at the bottom here. I probably should have a latch top and bottom rather than just this little one in the middle, because the cabling sort of in behind there kind of pushes out on that plywood a bit, and yeah, it tends to bow a bit, but anyway, I'm not too worried. It's just a shed after all. So the little box here, this is an 8-module junction box that I got from Bunnings. I think it was about $23 for the little box, and yeah, it's really simple in there. I've just got the main switch. The electrician did all of this, put all the breakers in and stuff for me. Yeah, main switch and lighting circuit and power circuit. And these breakers have the built-in earth leakage protection these days. So if I test trigger this, for example, see, it just snaps off like that. So that works. And we've used clip-steel breakers. The electrician highly recommended those. And yeah, there are some dodgy brands of breakers out there, and they can cause you some real hassles. So probably best to avoid those. All the switches and power points are also clipsal. I do get things from Bunnings on occasion, but yeah, wanted to use the better quality gear for the power points and switches. A lot of people say the mechanisms on your clipsal lighting switches, for example, and power points are a lot sort of better than the ones that Bunnings has available. For things like the 25mm flexible conduit though, Bunnings probably is the cheapest for a home handyman. I got some of it from an electrical store and it was, yeah, probably about twice the price. So I think you're pretty good to go at Bunnings for your conduit. While I'm talking about the conduit, one thing the electrician did say was he normally, for a big run like this, where you've got a few, you know, like 6 meters in a row of conduit, he'd normally use a rigid conduit sort of thing. He thinks it looks a little bit neater. He's probably right. So yeah, it's something to consider if you're doing a job like this. Maybe use some flexible where you need to go around corners and things, and some rigid if you want to make it really tidy. I wasn't overly concerned with that. I was just happy to kind of get the job done in a decent way. So I'll just show you the lights. So I've got these lights that I found on eBay. Again, I've got 4 of them, sort of evenly spaced across the shed there. They are, they're called like a UFO LED light on eBay. They come to around $100 each, and they're 3,000 looms, I think. They're super bright. I'll turn them on in a second and show you those. The electrician hadn't seen these before, but he was very impressed with them, especially for the price. So he had no worries with them. For these, if I can see it, he sort of just connected a plug to each of the lights and then hooked a little socket on the end of my lighting wire there. So by the way, lighting circuits in Australia, normally you're going to be using 1.5mm wire for that. You can get that anywhere, Bunnings or electrical supply stores or whatever. It's super easy. So over here, the section of conduit that runs back to the wall there, after that T-piece, there's two wires running through there. So I've managed to use the one sort of run of 25mm from the board down here, and fed 2 wires into it for the initial section, and the other wire sort of continues on and goes all the way to the end light here. Yeah, just seems like the most logical way to do it. Save on conduit and that sort of thing. Worth noting that it's quite difficult to pull 2 wires through a piece of 25mm conduit, even the thinner lighting wire. So you're probably going to want a plastic sort of wire puller thing. I found one of those on eBay for about $25–30 or something like that. Get one that's a bit longer than you need. And the other tip too for pulling wires through, if you can get someone else to help you and hold it up off the ground, hold the whole bit of conduit up off the ground, it'll slide through that much easier. I guess it just reduces the friction, and yeah, it works a lot better. So get someone to give you a hand with that. And of course the flexible is good. You can run it sort of round like in this kind of fashion, around corners and things if you ever need to. So it does the job. I've made it about as neat as I can. I still need to put a few more cable ties and things just to secure it in a few places. I also didn't want to drill holes in the shed, like in places I didn't absolutely have to. So just kind of kept that to a minimum. Alright, well I'll turn these lights on and just show you what they're about. So I've got 4 lights, 4 switches, makes it nice and easy. One thing I didn't really think about is the location of the switches versus the actual lights. They're all just a bit random, so I'll probably have to pull this off and yeah, just rearrange them a bit with the power off, of course, so it's all safe. Okay, so I mean, this is daylight anyway, but these things are super bright. I mean, when I'm in here at night, it's brighter than daylight anyway. So in terms of how much you can actually do yourself without breaking any rules or upsetting electricians and things like that, what I did and what I discussed with my electrician was, it's fine for me as a handyman to run the conduit, secure it, run the cables through it, so 2.5mm cable for the power points, 1.5mm for the lighting. That's all okay, as long as I don't wire anything up, and that he's happy, he or she, when they get here, when they get to the job, are happy that it's all kind of installed up to spec and there's no worries. You always want to let your electrician do the hookups. And so in this case, I ran most of the conduit in here, the wires, and when the electrician rocked up, he ran a wire over to the main fuse box in the house. So he did the part where you run the cable through the roof and whatever. And he checked everything over, hooked the power points up, the lights, all that kind of thing, and he was kind of happy that he had a bit less of a job to do because I'd already, yeah, done quite a bit of it. I'll just open this up carefully just to show you behind there. I might turn the power off for that. Oops, whoops, I just lost a little cover off there. Another quality Bunnings product, but anyway, that'll go back on there fine. Okay, so I'll just flip this main switch off and show you what's going on behind here. So pretty simple. All the conduit just runs to this one main spot, and look, it's a bit of a bird's nest in there, but yeah, I'm not overly concerned about it. You can't really see it, but anyway, you or your electrician might like to make it a little tidier, maybe secure things to the purlins or something like that, but I was pretty happy with this. So as you can see, he's cut all the holes and things through there. I let him cut all the holes in the board, just so, yeah, he's obviously used to doing that job, so they turned out all correct. And he was sort of saying as well that normally when he does a shed like this, he would have a very similar setup. He'd probably go from the top purlin to the bottom purlin and cover the whole thing if he could, and he'd just use a piece of particle board that's black or something like that. He wouldn't normally have hinges on it or anything like that, but he really liked the idea of having the hinges because it makes it super easy if he comes back and I want to add an extra power point. Maybe I want to put a 15 amp power point in or something like that. Yeah, just makes it nice and easy for him and cheaper for me. So yeah, that's about it, I think. I will post a link to the other YouTube video that inspired me to do this, and if you've got any questions about it, please comment and I'll see what I can help with.